Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Lignitzer's fourth play. I covered this, in the past with the sword and shield. I did a sword and shield interpretation of it, and now I wanted to go back and cover it with the buckler. And this play I really like because it makes use of a lot of different cuts. It does use a thrust, but the thrust is more of a finishing blow. It uses a lot of different cuts, and what I see in this play is that it makes use of a lot of misdirection. Okay, so basically, four quadrants. We're trying to attack, the different quadrants, trying to pull the person's defense from one side to the other, to create an opening down the middle. Okay, so we're attacking, left, right, and then from there we're going in the middle, high, low. Okay, so basically, rather than thinking of the four quadrants as, 1, 2, 3, and 4, think of it as 1, 2, 3, and 4 down here. Okay, so same, four quadrants. It's kind of shifted a little bit. Now, when I did the sword and shield interpretation of this, what I did is I opened up with 2 Zwerchhaus, because basically with the larger shield, it didn't make sense to be doing middle house to the sides of a large shield, because that shield is really not going to move too much, from side to side. So with the large shield, it made more sense to do Zwerchhaus from one side to the other to get that shield moving. Now with the buckler, because it's smaller, it makes sense to do middle house. Now when I've looked at 2 different translations of Lignitzer's fourth play. In one translation that I saw, it seems that he's basically telling you to open up with a middle how and then zwirch to both sides. So if you follow that interpretation, basically he's telling you to make a middle how. All right, so we're attacking the side here. Then he's telling you to zwirch to right side, left side. He doesn't say right side, left side. It says both sides. So you can do that in any order. You can go left, right, or right, left. In most of his plays, he says that you can do stuff on either side, so it really doesn't make a difference. So basically, start off with a middle how. Okay, presumably, when we do that middle how, we might step a little bit to the side, get that buckler to move a little bit. Then from there, zwirch. I'll zwirch left. I'll zwirch right. Okay. Then he says come down the middle. Okay, and then pull back and give it a thrust. Into the midsection here. So with the things that we see with this is that we're seeing a lot of misdirection. We're attacking here, we're attacking there, we're attacking there. Then we're coming up here and then going low. So we're attacking at a lot of different places, and this play really works great with a large shield. Now, as I said in one interpretation, it seems to say that from the middle how. Zwirch. So that's why, to me, that sounds like, start off with a middle how, and then from the middle how, after you've thrown that middle how, zwirch to both sides. Okay, then do the parting strike or the shadow how, and then pull back and thrust into the groin. Now, in another interpretation that I saw, it's basically just saying zwirch to both sides, and that's fine. We can modify this so that it's a zwirch to both sides. Then come down the middle with that scalp cut, pull back, and then thrust. Okay, a lot of this is going to depend on what your opponent, what type of a buckler or how big his shield might be. Because if I see a large shield, I'm definitely going to focus on the Zwerchhaus. I may not bother with the middle how low. If I see a smaller buckler like this, there's a good chance that I don't want to zwirch high at all. What I might want to do is keep it down low, middle how to the right side, middle how to the left side, okay, and then from there go up high, okay, all right, and then pull back and make that thrust. So by doing the middle house instead of the Zwerchhaus up here, what I'm doing is I'm keeping the defense low. And then attacking up here, because if I start Zwerchhauing, basically the defense is going to go a little bit higher, so it might make it a little bit harder for me to get to that, to get to the top of the scalp with that shadow how. So I don't think that it matters so much exactly what he may have meant, because all these things will work. And like I said at the beginning of this video series, I'm coming at this from the perspective of somebody that's been fighting for 15 years. And as somebody fighting for 15 years, when I come into the fight, I'm going to analyze, what type of, what size weapons my opponent is using, how he's holding him, what type of guard he's holding, where he's defending, where it seems more open. So with a shield, or a buckler rather, or a large buckler about this size, I'm going to probably keep it, stick to the middle house. Okay, start with a middle house there, come to a middle house there, then go up high, then pull back and make that thrust into the midsection. Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm going to make note of, since this play utilizes lots of cuts, the size of both my buckler and my opponent's buckler is going to determine how wide my cuts are. Because basically, with the smaller buckler that I'm using, I basically need to keep my sword, in front of me as I am attacking. Okay, even when I go to that thrust into the midsection, I need to keep it relatively high. So if I need to come up to defend, I can do that. Okay, so with the smaller buckler, I'm working around the buckler, whether I'm going to Zorch house or middle house. I'm working around the smaller buckler. With a larger buckler, let me go get one. So now here I have a larger buckler, which gives me more defense. So with something like this, I'm not in a position to really step wide, come really wide over here, which is going to force his defense to move further out. Okay, so if I have more defense, I'm in a better position to attack a little bit wider and try to get that buckler moving a little bit more. So I might start off with a really deep middle house to the left side, then really deep middle house to the right side, or I may turn that into a winker house, because that's going to really get that buckler to move. So I might start off with a left side middle house, then go to a right side winker house, which again is going to force that buckler to move over. Okay, then from there I'm in a position to throw that that shadow house, or I might turn that into a stretch house. Okay, so from here, I'm in a position to flip the sword over like this. Okay, so whether I make a middle house or a winker house, I'm in a position to flip the sword over into a strut house. I can throw that in there. And if I'm working from right side to left, I would, there's two strut houses. There's one that's elbow up, and the other one that's elbow down. So if I throw a middle house here, go to that side. From here, I'm in a position to throw that strut house. Okay, where basically I'm in this position. I'm dropping the sword like that. So which strut house or plunging strike I throw is going to depend entirely on where I'm coming from. Okay, so if I'm coming from this side, okay, basically I'm going to flip it over like that. All right, that's my plunging stroke. Okay, if I'm coming from that side, I'm going to flip it over like that. So that's my plunging stroke. So these are all things that you're going to get out of from experience. When you come into these interpretations, if you're bringing a good deal of experience with you, you'll be able to see a lot more opportunities. And like I said in the earlier videos, these manuals were intended for people that already knew how to fight. So they assume that you're experienced. They assume that you know how to make a cut, how to balance yourself, how to generate power. So they already assume that when they write these manuals, or when in this case Lignitzer was writing this, he assumed that you already knew how to fight. So that's what main thing I wanted to bring out. The size of your buckler is going to determine how wide you're able to throw your cuts. Okay, because I can really go from one side to the other side, up there, and then throw a thrust down there. With the smaller buckler, because this is smaller, I have to keep it tighter. I really can't go all the way out there because, this isn't a very good shield. I really don't have very good coverage. So as I throw that middle house, I have to keep it tight tight to that side, tight there, and bring it there. So I can't go as wide with the smaller buckler. So you know, this is one of my favorite plays from Lignitzer, because there's just so many cuts, and it offers you you know, so many you know, there's so many permutations that you can work out of this. I mean you could just do this in reverse. You know, start off with that thrust down here, okay? You know, then from there go to a left side middle how, right side middle how, and then go to the parent strike. You know, so you can do all sorts of permutations with all these cuts that we have here. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it. If you're not a member of my channel, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.